It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name's Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Doing
Great.
well, thanks.
Woo.
Yay. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. Probably not going to have a lot to discuss here since we kind of had, in the middle of our week, we actually had a special recording. We'll go into that here in a little bit. But what else has been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I finally got a chance to watch Cruella. That's really cute. If you haven't seen it yet, Disney Disney just released it to their regular streaming, so you don't have to pay for it now to watch it. And it's cute because it follows her from a kid to the point where she becomes Cruella de Vil, you know.
So evil.
I was a little scared when I saw that she had dogs, and it was like, oh no. Oh no.
Of course she
But
did.
I liked the way they tied the Dalmatians into this story, and at the end of, you know, an end scene, they kind of show you where Pongo and Purdy went, which of course we know that's the two dogs that got together and pulled the two couples together, and they got married, and then we had 101 Dalmatians. But so it was kind of cute how that played into, and even with Pongo and Purdy, she had a hand in that. So I'm kind of curious if there is a part 2, how they'll twist her into killing the dogs for coats, you know, or maybe that's not what she really wanted to do, or, you know, it'll be interesting to see where they take this if there is a part 2. I think they left it wide open for a part 2, but it kind of made you understand Cruella a little bit more and the driving force behind her. And of course we get more background on Horace and Jasper, who basically grew up with her. So you can see where that friendship is and the family bonds that are there too. Of course, the show stealer in every movie, if you ever have a dog, you have to be an amazing actor, because if not, they're going to steal the show. And the two dogs, especially Wink, definitely stole the show. Just, you know, they were street rats. So to see how they use the dogs and their cons and stuff was just adorable. So, yeah, so if you haven't seen it yet, if you've been waiting for it to be free, it is free now on, well, I guess it's not free, but it is on Disney Plus now. And I've also been trying to catch up on, I'm still watching Buffy. I finally made it through season 4. I will have to say I almost did it. And I think when, I was about to say in real life, I think when this originally in real time was played on TV, I think season 4 is where they lost me. The whole initiative and military monsters and that kind of thing was just kind of like, ugh, this isn't the Scooby Gang, you know, this isn't their normal mysteries and stuff. And I finally started season 5. I think it was last night. So I've watched season 1 of 5, and it's like, holy hell, how do you go 4 seasons and just now find out you have a sister? Are they going to explain that a little more?
Yes.
Is that just kind of like, boom, there she is? You know?
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
I did pick up on the clues, of, like her and Faith making the bed. We're getting ready for the little sister. And when they all had their dream sequence, Tara kept telling her, make sure you're home before dawn. So I think there's been foreshadowing of a sister coming along, but it's kind of like, okay, how did you go from an only child to the oldest child?
Keep watching.
All will be revealed.
I'll keep watching though.
Keep watching.
All will be revealed.
But I'm hoping season 5 kind of gets them back into their Scooby Gang groove. The Dracula episode definitely didn't do that. That was just kind of corny.
The Dracula episode was hilarious. What are you talking about?
Especially when he came back and she's like, I've watched your movies. I think they treated it more of camp.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So,
Oh, they had fun with it for sure.
They definitely did. But it was good to see the gang back and her to finally admit, hey, I need you, Giles. I've always felt she kind of pushed him aside, and without him, a lot of times they would have been lost. And it was good for her to realize that, yeah, we would be lost without you, and I don't know a quarter of who I am. So we'll see where this thing goes. But I think I'm now caught up to the point where I did quit watching it originally. I think during this time, especially the way Angel has popped in and out, I think I went over with the Angel series and quit watching Buffy. But I'm curious now to see where some of these episodes line up with Angel, because they don't really explain too much. I think one episode started with she's off in LA visiting Angel, and it's like, what? Why? And then he comes back and he's all mad and pissed, but we never really learned what happened there, what fight they had. I may have to pull up Angel and cross-reference those episodes to get the whole story,
It has been
You just
a
wanna watch
long
Angel.
time since I watched either of them, but I don't remember there being a ton of explanation in the first season of Angel either.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in this one particular episode, it's after she's given him the ring and everything. I can't remember on Angel, remember her coming to him and giving him that, or if that's the way the show started.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been a really long time. I have not rewatched any of it.
But he comes back into town, and the Initiative boys are pretty much attacked him because he's a vampire. But that's when he runs into her new boyfriend. And, the first thing she says when she sees him is, I can't believe you came here after what you said to me. So it's like, tell us. What did you see? What did you say?
Sometimes it's better not to have all of the details.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I'm remembering right from Angel, I think Angel wound up with Cordy. Didn't they have like some kind of romance thing for a little bit there?
No, not that I recall.
Okay.
Correct
I'm
me
thinking,
if I'm wrong, Tom, but Cordelia showed up on his doorstep in L.A. First episode.
Yeah. Because they completely took her out of Buffy then.
Right, because she moved full time over to Angel.
Yeah.
Along with David. But yeah, she went with the show for sure, but there was not that kind of relationship that I recall.
See,
they flirted with it a lot, but I don't remember them actually having that type of relationship. But they really kind of danced with it a lot. If I remember correctly, is that what you're remembering, Mike? It's more of like, will they or won't they, and then that's about as far as it got. I'm remembering it wrong.
I don't remember it being that strong a thing. I remember there being moments where Cordelia was flirting with him, and it was never really obvious whether she was serious or not.
Yeah.
Anytime that it was actually spoken about, she's like, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
So I think if they were doing it, they were playing it real cagey, because it was a bad idea and they kind of knew it.
Yeah.
See, for some reason, I'm
Scene
getting
moved
why
by.
Buffy was upset was because of them too. Maybe her just being there upset Buffy. I don't know. But I did think it was pretty crappy when they had the high school episode where Jonathan was just the greatest.
Oh, that was fun.
Well, they had all of the high school kids, but they didn't bring Cordelia back. They brought everyone back but her. So it was like, why, she was a big part of all of their high school. No matter if they loved her or hated her at the time, she would have been there, So I don't understand the reasoning behind that one. Especially if they can get Angel to pop in and out whenever he wants,
Yeah, there may be stuff behind that. Who knows?
There were, yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably it. Cause
some of the behind the scene problems.
Yeah, because she's not been shy about that.
Yeah. And actually, I'm not doubting her. If everything she said happens, that was pretty shitty, and it's sad because that's not the first time I've heard this about Whedon either. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just her that came out.
Yeah.
The rest of the cast members started coming out and saying, "Yeah, this happened to me," or "I saw this kind of thing." Only one who came out and said anything was Anthony Stewart Head. Says, "I didn't see this, and I'm sorry I didn't see it. If this was going on, I would have done something, and I feel so bad about it."
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it doesn't sound like she was very vocal on the set about it either. From the stories I've read, she said that she just kind of kept her head down and did what she was supposed to do, So I could see how someone like him could stand up and say, I didn't see it. I'm sorry, Sometimes, I guess guys too, but especially as females, we're good at hiding our feelings, We know when we can shove them down and...
Well, and professional actor, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, maybe she's
and just not
really
to
good
create that kind of workplace,
Mm-hmm.
Has Sarah Michelle ever came out and said anything in defense or against?
I know she came out in support of her, but I don't remember if
I don't remember
anything
any more
happened.
than that, right?
Yeah, I don't remember if anything has happened to her, which, man, I seriously doubt it because she was the star of the show. He searched, but then again, there was reports of him and Gal Gadot during Justice League, so who knows?
Seeing, of course, whatever happened between him and Fisher to make DC totally eradicate Cyborg. That's kind of childish, though. But I won't go into that one because that could take us all night to break that one down.
We've had that one before.
Yeah, but I think the big mouse is kind of sitting back and watching how Warner Brothers is handling this situation. And I hope to God they don't take the same route with some of the lawsuits that they're in right now. So, but I would totally not be surprised if Marvel started distancing themselves from Black Widow. Just because right now, with the movies and where Avengers is and everything else, I could see them making that turn easily, where.
Here's the thing with that. It's a little different. I mean, they can continue Black Widow, but it's going to be, I can't remember what her name is. The new one, since, because Natasha's dead. Spoiler alert. Yeah, they killed her. So the only way they would do anything else involving her is it's going to have to be a flashback, or this is a story from some time in the past. They're not going to do that. They're too busy. They're already too busy moving on with other stuff. So.
And I noticed with Shang-Chi, they did the release so much different than what they did with Black Widow. I don't know if they did the release because it's a holiday weekend, but it will not hit the streaming service for at least another month before it plays in the theaters. So
they were testing this one out because they were going to see how, depending on how Shang-Chi does, is how they're going to respond with Eternals. Because they were talking about they don't know whether or not they're going to do theaters and streaming or just theaters exclusively. So they were watching to see how Shang-Chi's doing, and from what I've been hearing, it's done really well.
It has, especially for, the pandemic time and everything else.
Yeah.
And I think to me it shows that people who really want to get out to watch a certain kind of movie will. It's got to be really good, but I know that was a concern of theirs, is not too many people are wanting to get out. I think they have lost some of their crowd by showing them, hey, we can do this different. So I don't know if it'll ever fully go back to the way it was before pandemic, but I know me, I'm spoiled. They spoiled my introvert side, and I don't want it to change.
Yeah.
Release it where I can watch at home. I'm also not the type of person who gets into the visual and the sound of the big screen. I guess because I can't see very good, it doesn't matter to me. But I've never been that kind of person where it's like I have to see this. So
there are certain movies I can understand wanting to see it one time on the big screen, but you're going to spend the rest of your life seeing it on a much smaller screen.
Yeah.
So whether it's streaming, whether it's Blu-ray, whether it's on regular TV, whatever. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, and other than screen size, most home theaters are really,
Yeah.
My sister, her husband is in the music business, and they did all the sound for their movie theaters there. So her setup at home, it's nice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the sound system and all that. And I mean, in the quality of the TVs are incredible too. And yeah, you got the sizes, but still, the only thing you really can't replicate is being in there with the audience.
That's what I was about to say. Yes. Because
that's about it.
You want to feel, when the hero comes on the screen and you hear the whole audience go, ooh, that's a goosebump moment. Not because the hero went out on the screen, but just the reaction around you,
Oh God, watching, if you watched Avengers Endgame, not in the theater, you would have missed so much. Especially right there at the end. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah. So I kind of understand it. But to me, I you can take it or leave it. Can I watch it in my jammies?
Well, depending on where you're going, you could probably wear your jammies and watch it. So.
As I say, I saw where Alamo, you can rent out the whole theater. So it's like, huh.
I don't think they're the only ones doing that either anymore. I think there are theaters doing it too.
Yeah, a lot of theaters are doing that
for private screenings. Yep.
And they have for several years. Because I'll be honest, I kind of looked at trying to do something for the fellowship for certain different occasions, and I just financial reasons and other reasons it just never occurred. So, but yeah, it's always been out there for a while.
Well, I was talking to one of my friends, and she was going to rent a theater out for her kid's birthday party. And she's like, you'd really be surprised. It's only like $15 a kid. But the catch is you have to have so many kids.
Minimum number of kids, right?
Yeah.
I remember when my kids were babies, Chuck E. Cheese. You'd go to Chuck E. Cheese and blow $100, easily. By the time you get pizzas and cakes and,
game tokens,
if not a couple of $100. Yeah, especially when you throw another kid in there. And so that's not that bad. Build-A-Bear, it's $30 a kid. You have to have 10. So, God, it's sad. I know this shit.
No, it's not. You have children. This is.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
That you remember it off the top of your head like this might be a little sad, but
right?
actually knowing it, nah, you're good.
So I could see doing, that'd be kind of cool too, though. Just get a group of friends together and
Go to Chuck E.
watch a
Cheese.
movie.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
No, wait,
yeah,
what?
Chuck E. Cheese.
Ew.
God, where is a Chuck E. Cheese? I don't even know where one is. Are they even still in?
There's one at Preston and Park in Plano.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's
and there's
just
one off
south
of
of that. But yeah.
635 in Centerville. And I
That's
think
pretty-
one more off George Bush over there by Walmart. I don't know what
Garland
road that
Avenue.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So there's still a few.
Garland and one.
Do you guys remember
Yeah,
when
it's
before
like kind of
Chuck E. Cheese?
on the way down towards the mall, but not that far.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm not picturing it right now. But
It's
that's
over
okay.
there with Texas
There's
Roadhouse.
like an Olive
and,
Garden over there and shit like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
and-
well, yeah, I know where those are, but I just
And then-
I probably just passed by it and
Blocked it out of
Yeah.
your memory, yeah.
just
But I
not
think it
noticed.
is right next door to Olive Garden. And then behind Chuck E. Cheese is an ASI gymnastics place.
There you go.
Well, that was pretty smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, work it off.
Yeah. You do your flips and we'll go eat pizza.
There you go.
Worked in baseball too. But do you guys remember when Chuck E. Cheese was actually Billy Bob's? Showbiz. And it was Billy Bob's band. And then he was a big gorilla. And Chuck E. Cheese was actually just like a guest. He was a friend. He was a sideshow. And that freaking mouse came in and took everything over.
See, I remember them being competitors for a while.
I seem to remember that too.
I think it was more of a buyout than a spin-off.
Yeah.
I think Chuck E. Cheese bought Showbiz Pizza. I could be wrong
He
too.
was a
but-
sideshow for a while before they finally just totally canned the whole Showbiz band and stuff. The Showbiz band reminded me of Banana Splits. I don't know why. I guess because they were corny and
it's all
scary
corny.
looking.
Right. It's all corny and scary looking. That's part of the charm, right?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Uh-huh.
Not much.
Oh man. Well, we're in full tangent mode this week, anyway. Shit, I don't even know where to go from that. Okay, so in amidst all of the other chaos and fun, I watched the next episode of the This Is Pop thing on Netflix, which turns out to be really interesting in its own way because it's okay. I just have to describe it. I can't analyze it too much because it will make my brain hurt, which is already happening. But that's not your problem. So the name of this episode is Auto Tune, and this episode includes a pretty significant interview with T-Pain. And if you remember, in the 90s, T-Pain is the guy who basically made his career off of Auto-Tune. It is a really interesting interview. Really interesting.
Now, see, isn't that kind of crazy, though? Because do you guys remember Milli Vanilli?
Yes.
And they were kind of slammed for using auto-tune.
No,
And
they were
No.
not slammed for using Auto-Tune.
They
They
were
were slammed
lip-syncing.
for not being able to sing their own songs because
Ah.
they were not singing their own songs.
Right.
they were
They
lip syncing.
They were lip syncing.
But now we have a lot of stars who do that too. Most concerts you go to, 80% of that's already recorded. They're just kind of going through,
Dance routines.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there's a reason why I don't go to concerts anymore. But
Right. Okay, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
that mostly all of the people I go to concerts for are dying anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I'm old. That's right. I said it. But yeah, it's really informative, and it's not just one long. The T-Pain thing takes up more than half of the 44 minutes. There are also some other really interesting aspects of it that they talk about. So it's really informative and it's really interesting. Um, it's very cool. If you know anything about T-Pain or anything about auto-tune in general, watch this thing because you'll learn something. And you will.
Didn't he do that song, Jump Around?
No.
Okay.
If he did a song named Jump Around, it's probably not the one you're thinking of.
Okay. Get up, and get down. Who does that one, Phil? House of Pain. Okay. Different pain.
Okay, so there you go. There is a connection. Not necessarily obvious at the first, but it's okay. It is a connection.
Leave it to me just to remember the pain part,
Yep.
I've got your headache now, Mikey.
I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, so other than that, totally boring week, right? No, we had a good time. It will be a little while before y'all hear it, but we had a good time this week.
We did.
Yep, we did. Alrighty, Les.
Well, for me, it was pretty quiet this week, which was fine. I deserve it. I did take in a college football game. Went to see North Texas and University of, or was it Northwest State, I believe, which, like Tom knows, I'm not too keen on directional schools. So it was interesting. It was fun to be there in the crowd and just take it all in. And there was a lot to take in, that's for damn sure. Pretty large crowd, and it was a good time. Had a good time with it. I also read the 100-page giant for Green Arrow, which had a great story at the end concerning Denny O'Neil. If you get the chance, find this. It's an expensive book. It's about $10, but it's well worth the time, especially to read that last story, which was written by O'Neill's son. So it was touching and made a lot of sense. And there was very little dialogue in the whole thing. It was more by action that you understood what was going on. So that's probably my recommendation for the week right there, is track down one of those and read that one story at the end. Read them all, but be sure to pick up the nuances in that final story. You won't be disappointed at all.
Cool.
Interesting.
And $10 for 100 pages, that's not that bad.
No,
but if you're used to the $5 hit, the $10 hit is twice as bad. You're getting something for it for sure, but
Well, I mean, when it's usually $3.99 for 20 or 30 pages. Yeah, 32 pages. So I mean,
yeah.
$4, and you're talking about a little over twice that for a hell of a lot more pages. Yeah, so in the grand scheme of things, yeah. For me, not too much. In addition to the special recording that we already mentioned, just working on stuff for October and doing my homework, getting through it. Been kind of interesting. A lot of these I had never seen before, so this is my first time seeing some of them.
Oh, good. I was hoping I wasn't alone on that.
Well,
I'm thinking I haven't seen any of this stuff.
so there's a couple I have seen. I've seen several times, but for the most part, no. It's
I didn't even
it's
know
my
some of
first
these
time.
existed. Honestly.
To be honest, a couple of them I didn't know existed either. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Those will be fun discussions then.
Especially one of them that we just recorded last week with all the horror.
Yeah. I hadn't seen those.
I hadn't seen either of those either. I'd heard of the one.
I've heard of one of them. The other one I had not heard of, and the only thing that I found out about it a couple of years ago, and I was going to mention this during the recording, of how I found out that this actually existed because it was spoofed by Riff Tracks. So that's how I first found out about it. I was like, okay.
Oh, now I want to see that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I was wondering why I hadn't seen some of them, and I would have been about, I think one I was 4 and the other one I was 10, and one of them kind of read as an educational video on how to be a witch, and it was like, oh, okay, that's why. Growing up a preacher's kid, I wouldn't have been able to watch that at all, you know. Not a witch. Ooh.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting discussions coming in October, and I'm sure y'all love our special all the horror edition because we had a fun time recording it.
We did.
Didn't think it was gonna ever end.
I think we just kind of cut it off.
It wouldn't have if we'd still be recording that mother if we hadn't have stopped. That's
right.
for sure. Because man. Anyway, enough spoilerage. We'll get to it. You'll hear it. We'll put it out there for you.
You'll find out soon enough.
It'll be clearly marked and everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, before we get into this week's discussion, I think it was mentioned earlier, we do have a Discord that y'all are more than welcome to come join us. We post news items, items for discussion, funny stuff. Try to have some fun activities on there when we can. Discord is free, a free sign up. It's a free application to download. So if you want to join us, you go to our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Right there on the home page is an invite. You just click on that little image and it'll bring up Discord and you're in. And we would be more than happy to have you with us. Okay. For this week, we wanted to discuss. This is the 35th anniversary. Is that right? Or am I? Yes, 35th.
Yeah,
35th anniversary
35.
Of this story, which is essentially the last pre-crisis Superman story ever told. It was covered in issues Superman 423 and Action Comics 583. Written by Alan Moore and with art by well-known Superman artist Kurt Swan. This was actually his last go as a regular Superman artist. He would actually come back to do a story arc in Action Comics Weekly a couple years down the road, but this was it for as a regular penciler, and he'd been on the books for forever, decades. Obviously, he didn't do every issue, but he'd done a ton of them. So, and the story is called Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. And it's hailed as one of the best Superman stories ever written. And I can agree with that to a degree. But let's go ahead and talk about this story.
So should we go ahead and get the green dog out of the room? That really upset me. That so upset me. I was fine when Lana died. I was fine when Jimmy died.
Wow.
But then when they killed the dog, it was kind of like, are you monsters? What are
Well,
you
when
doing?
it's the final story, all bets are off.
Oh man, that sucked though. I
I
have to
agree.
admit, I kind of cried over that because it was like, oh, what a faithful dog. He gave his life one last time for Superman.
Hmm. And I think that was the impact it was supposed to have.
Yeah,
It was, yeah, he sacrificed himself. I mean, in a way, I mean, clearly 35 years ago, spoiler time,
right.
in the same way that Lana and Jimmy did. They did the same thing that Crypto did. It's just you got upset because it was a dog. Because
Right.
screw people, dogs are awesome.
Right. Especially Crypto, man. And how does a dog named Crypto die of kryptonite? That's fucked up.
Because he's a Kryptonian dog. I
Yes.
guess. I don't even know.
He was named after the planet.
Oh, okay. And now I didn't read. I mean, of course, I guess I've read parts and pieces later, but I wasn't fully aware of the Superman and the canon it had going. So I have a few questions about the ending of this. So Superman died and she married his dad?
No.
No.
I mean, isn't that who Jor-El was while he was here on Earth? Was something Elliot?
Wait, what?
Her husband, I forget his first name, but it was something Elliot.
Jordan?
Jordan Elliot. Isn't that Jor-El?
No,
No.
he took the name because of his father.
Okay. And he dyed his hair.
He wanted to give testament to his father.
Okay. That makes sense. I just thought that was a little whacked that you watch Superman die and then you marry his dad. Ew. Bada ding 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 ding. Now, I did think this was a good story, though. I always think it's nice when we see our superheroes have, I won't say flaws, because I think anytime you care or you're scared, that's not a flaw. For Superman, it was, because he had never felt that way before. He had never felt hopeless. And I think all through this story, that's kind of what the emphasis was, is he knew what was going to happen. And then people from, who knew the future came and kind of told him what was going to happen. So he was fully preparing to die. So when he walked into the yellow kryptonite room, it was like, that's it. But I guess that's the story they wanted everyone to have. I liked it. I really did. It brought in, his major foes of the time and dealt with them. I did think it was kind of sad what happened to Lex, as much as I don't like him, but, he was kind of a pawn. And even in his death, he was a pawn. So I don't know if that was fitting or kind of sad. I don't know the Lex of today that would have been fitting, but I don't know the Lex from, back then.
Well, I mean, Lex's major flaw has always been that he's only human.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it is fitting. I mean, except in all the weird times when he wasn't. But that's what you get with 80 years of continuity, or quote unquote continuity.
Well, and even with how bad Lex is and always hated Superman, he begged to die. He didn't want to be a pawn. And I don't know if it was because he was being used that he wanted to die, or he really didn't want to be the reason Superman died. I think over the years, Lex has kind of showed us that little side of, you know, yes, I want to torture him and I want him to pay, but he didn't want him dead. You know, what fun is a foe if they're dead? You know, there's no, and Superman's really been the only one to challenge him. You know, as far as mental capabilities and that kind of thing. So it's to Lex, it's a game. I don't know if he wanted an end game, you know. But I did think it was curious that he did. He begged her to die, to kill him.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
And this was my first time reading the story. I was really shocked that it was, can you even pronounce his name? Mrs. Black?
Mixes Pidlek.
Yeah. I was surprised it was him. And I thought it was pretty cool how he was defeated. One thing, though, it shows another flaw of Superman. If somebody is coming after you and your loved ones, which I don't even know why they included Percy and his wife in this whole story, but if they're coming after the people you hold the most closest to you, you shouldn't feel bad that you killed them. If you wouldn't have killed them, they were definitely going to kill you, and they wouldn't have felt bad about it. You know what I'm saying? There's times where you can't be the Boy Scout. You know, you can't. It's kill or be killed. You know.
See,
and
this
you
is
can't go time out.
the age-old argument about Superman, really, is, yeah, I mean, but he is the Boy Scout. He's always
Yeah.
the boy. That has always been Superman.
But there's times where things just happen. You know, nobody was going to prosecute him or anything for Miss Blick Black to be
But
dead. Nobody was going to go, oh, we missed him.
But yeah, but it's one of those. It's a code. I mean, and it's one of those deals where, well, if you can cross the line, then why have the line? So the deal is, if you're going to draw the line, you have to stay on your side of the line, and that's the way Superman thinks. This is my thing. I am basically all powerful.
Right.
Honestly, they couldn't execute me for it if they tried.
Right.
So
And
I have to not make them try to figure out how to do that, if it comes down to it.
see, and I can understand I am a powerful super being, and I won't kill those below me. It wouldn't be fair to kill a human because they don't have your strength or your mentality or laser vision. You know, it would be almost an unfair fight. But I won't say his name again. Blah blah actually superseded his power and his strength and his mentality. So it was a more than fair fight. It wouldn't have been like him killing a lowly being. You know, this was a superior being who came after you.
But
So
his code is not, I don't kill lesser beings. It's
right.
I don't kill.
See, if I wrote Superman, that would be his
Right.
code.
Well, and
You can't kill those you're helping.
I will
but
give props to, of all people, Alan Moore, for following that line the way he did, because man, that's a guy who will break those rules any chance he gets as a writer, and
Yeah.
he didn't here, and kudos to him for that. He stuck with Superman as written, and I mean, so good
Yeah.
good on him for that, because yeah, you can't, the deal is with Superman, who's going to judge? And how do
Yeah.
they have, and where is their authority to do that? I mean, he's not going to be able. Superman's not the guy who's going to think about someone being a lesser being. That's not how he rolls.
Yeah. But he knew he was outmatched by him. And he was even willing to die because he knew he was outmatched by him.
Well,
If it wouldn't have been for Lois saying, hey, what about this little statue here? He would have given up, or he would have died in that fight.
mm-hmm.
So
hey, lesser being wins the day in that case.
Yeah.
Good on Alan Moore for giving Lois the idea to solve the problem.
His life.
Right.
Yep.
And honestly, the deal here is that he did do it. Superman did kill him.
He did.
It
tore him right in half.
Right, and it screwed him up because that's not what he's supposed to do. But it's not like he had much choice. Yeah,
it was the only choice he had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like I said, in a case like that, I would have given myself a little more leeway than to totally be like, oh, I'm irresponsible with these powers and I can't have them anymore. You know.
I think he found a way around it.
Yeah,
ultimately.
But that was another question though. He walked through the golden kryptonite. Now, wasn't that supposed to strip him of his powers? The only thing that could strip him of his powers. So was he finally just a normal Joe Blow guy? Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw with the baby wasn't. So did he give all of that up to have a normal life with Lois, or is he really still Superman, but just a different identity now?
It's a mystery. The contents of that story do not answer that question.
It doesn't. It kind of leaves that open. Like I said, it explains the baby, but
and then they went straight from this to a completely different new Superman.
They did
with John Byrne. So.
Yep.
Depends on how Infinite Earthy you want to get with it, I suppose.
Yeah. It was good. I was happy with that as an ending story. If that would have been the very last ever Superman comic book, I think at the time they ended it very well. I also believe that right before Rebirth, the death they gave him then also was a very honorable Superman-like death. And this was too. In theory, he died saving those he loved. There's no dishonor in that.
I mean, how else would you expect Superman to go down, right?
Right. Well, and almost everyone, that's how he dies, is giving himself for others.
Because that's what he does.
Yep.
Even on the days when he doesn't die.
Yeah.
He's consistent, that Superman.
Yeah, if I would have changed anything of the story, Krypto would have won. So he would have brought Superman the beacon, and he would have saved the day.
Of course it would.
Yeah, and of course Lana and Jimmy just would have been knocked out. They wouldn't have been killed. That was kind of harsh, but
the stakes were supposed to. The whole point of the God, here we go too. I'm going to start analyzing shit. The whole point of that was to set the stakes. I mean, that was he did that to show how serious the situation was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad that she died knowing what Superman thought of her too. So that was kind of sweet too that he did that. And I liked the way that he explained that. He loved Lana because he felt that was his part in Smallville. Growing up, that was his childhood sweetheart, but Lois has been his more grown up, he grew up. And although I think if he would have explained to Lana the way that he did to Percy, I think Perry, I think she would have understood that. People grow out of love, especially I Oh God, I would hate to be dating the guy that I did at 12. You know what I'm saying? You grow. So I think she would have understood that though.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
I don't think she still would have been like best friends with Lois or anything, but I think she would have understood that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird talking about your feelings moments
Yeah.
that people are not always good at that, and American society is not always good at that either, and that's what he's based on. So
Yeah. And if she could hear him, why couldn't he hear her and Jimmy talking about going out there and stuff? Doesn't he have super hearing too?
oh, he
But
does, and you learn to block things out, I guess. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
So you can't actually catch everything.
Every little sound would drive you mad.
Mm.
Well, and I think they showed too how when he was younger, how that did kind of drive him crazy till he learned to do that. Now that you say that, so.
Yep.
Or maybe that was Smallville. I don't know.
Probably. That was when he was younger, so yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, whether it was a different telling of the same
The
ideas.
same thing. Yep. That would be weird though. You can hear everything around you and
Including people's thoughts sometimes.
Mhm.
Because varying power levels of Superman, he could. Am I crazy? Am I remembering this wrong? Didn't he like get really close to telepathy at one point?
I don't know.
I think he did
Yeah, I think you're right.
May
in,
not have.
in the very early stages of the character.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't last super long because, wow, that's hard to write around. But
Yeah,
Right.
that is.
Yeah, somebody would say, why didn't he know that?
Right.
Well,
Right.
Well, and I think the jumping thing kind of got too hard to write too, and that's when they're like, okay, he flew. He didn't have to jump off anything. He just flew.
Flying's probably easier to draw, if nothing else. And
Right.
it's also easier to explain in the long run.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it, he's flying. It's fine.
He's flying now,
Yeah, screw it. It's just roll with it. It's good.
Wes?
why don't you take a shot at it first?
Okay. Yeah, this is an amazing story, and yeah, it really pulls. It pulled at my heartstrings because these are characters I literally grew up reading. So seeing their fates just it was tough. It was really tough to read, but it was so amazingly well told. Alan Moore did a great job with the story and he was very faithful to the characters and the storytelling that this whole myth was built around. I thought he was incredible. And of course, to have Kurt Swan doing art, God, it wouldn't have been the same if someone else had done it.
Yeah.
Because it was this Superman who was going away. So it just seemed appropriate that it's what a lot of people think is the definitive Superman artist to do the art. And of course, you mentioned all the cameos. They even brought Legion of Superheroes back from the future.
Mhm. They left pretty quick, didn't they?
Yeah. Well.
Ow, that hurt. We're gone.
Well, they knew it was coming. The whole thing with Brainiac and Luthor was very weird.
I think I missed why he was looking for him in the first place.
I'm not remembering right now. But it just, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because they teamed up a lot. So for Brainiac to basically just use Luthor for this final push, it kind of makes sense, but it just, looking at it, it looks so weird that just having that Brainiac literally sitting on top of Luthor's head.
Well, he looked like a zombie underneath.
Yeah, yeah.
This amuses me way too much, Liz.
But I loved the story. I thought it was a great story. I can't imagine it being any better than it was. I really can't. And supposedly Julie Schwartz had reached out to Jerry Siegel and offered him the opportunity to write the final Superman story as kind of a bookmark, since he wrote the very first Superman story. But for legal reasons, and there was a time crunch to get this thing done, so he couldn't do it. So, I mean, that's kind of sad, because that would have been awesome.
That would have.
It would have.
And the way he kind of explained it is when he offered, well, he didn't offer it to Alan Moore, but it was kind of, here's the problem I have. He was like, me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can definitely tell that he was into this story. Like I said, other than the dog dying, it was a pretty good story.
Well, the funny thing is, and I know there's a mention of it in Wikipedia, is that several years later, Alan Moore's given an opportunity to write Supreme for Image Comics, which is a character that was basically it's a Superman knockoff that was created by Rob Liefeld. And what Alan Moore did was he started writing stories that basically had the feel of the Silver Bronze Age Superman, and they were great reads. It was so cool to read. So it was like you had that Superman again, in a way.
I don't think I read that.
Oh, this was several years ago, and I don't think it's ever been collected, which is a shame.
That's a bummer, right?
It is. I think I was introduced to Alan Moore through, was it maybe Swamp Thing?
Yeah, he was writing Swamp Thing at the time that he was.
This came out.
It was this, yeah.
Okay.
So.
And then, of course, Babylon was pretty good.
Okay, Les?
I enjoyed this very interesting story, and I thought it brought forth a lot of different things that were items that were not really thought about at that time. Now, Moore went on, of course, to write Watchmen. So, like you said earlier, he had a warped mind to begin with, which is not bad, especially when he's trying to tackle an icon of this sort. I think the writing was, I'm going to say for the most part, spectacular. And I say that because there's a segment in there where during the interview, Lois is explaining something that Superman did while she was asleep. Something he never talked to her about.
Yeah.
But somehow she knew about it. That was, to me, that was probably the only default that it had, or only fault it had, I'm sorry. So kudos go to him and definitely Kurt Swan. I'm sure Swan would be an artist that Marvel would have loved to have had, and Marvel ended up with their own version of Superman. Although to me, he did not pan out like Supes did. I can't tell you, I can't think of anything that would make me say they really needed to do this different, because there was really not a flaw in this whole story. And I commend them for that. That's tough to do. That's like writing a Stephen King novel and trying to keep track of all of the players that you have to work with. And King does that. And as a result, people recognize who come into his stories. Now, of course, Superman has got a plethora of characters, and all were very significant in this story, even Kara. And that was the one that upset me most, was him trying to cope with Kara when she appeared with the Legion, and him having to try to answer her questions that he knew that he really didn't want to discuss because she would die. And that was probably the one thing that that was the one thing he didn't want to discuss.
Yeah.
I was really pleased with this story overall. And I'm glad they decided this was going to be the final chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And Moore is a hell of a writer. He can make you think about things that you don't even cross your mind, and how people would react and what people would do. So, kudos.
Yeah.
Yep, he did. He crammed a lot of that for a lot of different characters into a very small space in this. And it really does read well.
Yeah.
In 2 issues.
Yeah, 2 issues.
2 issues. Now, nowadays, that would be a 5-issue
At
miniseries.
least. Yeah.
And he got it accomplished in 2 issues and didn't shortchange anybody, to my recollection.
No.
Right, even Perry got closure.
The first guy in the box didn't really, get much of a story, other than he was dead in a box. I forget his name now. And I did think that they kind of glossed over the whole unmask. I mean, it was kind of easy to, because after it was found out who he was, that's when they discovered the guy in the box. So.
Yeah, but I mean, even that, he did a really nice job of. I mean, you could do a whole 2-hour movie based on the unmasking of Superman,
Mm-hmm.
and it wouldn't do the same justice as that. I don't even know how few pages right there in that story he covered it.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked. It was really quick, but it worked. I mean, something like that is going to be really quick. That's the problem. That's the deal.
Yeah.
It only takes one little thing. In this case, an explosion in your face.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The guy in the box was Pete Ross.
Yeah, Pete Ross.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was the first person that found he was Superboy.
Yep.
Symbolism. Gotcha.
Yeah. And I did like where she explained how she saw him as a purple streak because the blue and the red blend together, so that's how she always saw him. I hadn't thought about it, but it was like, yeah, that makes sense,
Now, this was before the reveal, was it not? The reveal of Clark to Lois?
I'm not sure, because
It had to be.
Lana was there with him whenever his clothes ripped off. Let me see when he actually picked up Lois.
Was Byrne the one who did that?
No, that was the two midget Supermans, or little people Supermans. The toy maker and...
No. Les is talking about outside of the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, outside of the story was the reveal with the magical cover. I thought was so good. Lois was looking into she had taken his glasses off, was holding his glasses and staring at him.
It was either like Jerry Orway, or Dan Jurgens. It's right around that time.
Right. So that was after this.
Oh yeah, that's post-crisis.
Yeah, this was immediately pre-crisis.
Yeah. So the Lois of the pre-crisis never knew, unless it was an imaginary story, which basically this is too. But I would have to actually look that up to see.
And then in this story, they did something that was carried forward when Lois and Clark were married. They had a son. His name was Jonathan. And that is something that still is in place, because Jonathan is one of the super sons. So I was glad to see that happen. Little continuity there.
Mm. Yeah, because wasn't there another... Didn't he have another name at one point, or wasn't it a different... I'm not even sure how to explain what the hell I'm thinking, but there was a different son of Superman with a different name at some point. Probably earlier than this, I'm not sure. I think.
That I could not verify. Don't know.
Okay, it was Action Comics 662. Came out February 1991. Written by Roger Stern and illustrated by Bob McLeod.
Okay.
That is the issue where you have Lois holding the glasses, and in a reflection you see him pulling their shirt open and seeing the S. That is the issue.
That was a classic cover.
It's a beautiful cover.
Mm-hmm.
And it flew off the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Superman flew. That's funny.
That's something different, huh?
You sure it didn't just jump? I mean,
Yeah.
A single bound.
Leap. Yep. Okay, well, any final thoughts regarding the story arc? It is available in trade format Definitely check that out. To your local comic shop.
Yep, they'd love to order you a copy if they don't already have one.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
It's a great read.
It is.
Always has been.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. It's time for our weekly picks, and leading off is Liz.
All right. For my first pick, this is one I've probably talked about every issue 1 through 5 that they put out, and it's called Stray Dogs. It's by Image Comics. They have finally bound it in a trade, so if you guys weren't lucky enough to pick up the single issues, here it all is. This one was described to me at the very beginning as Lady and the Tramp meets Silence of the Lambs. And it has been a really crazy story, a little heartbreaking at times. I mean, anything with animals, be prepared to, have your heart broken. But this one was about a little dog named Sophie. And she winds up in a house with all these other dogs, which really kind of look like a lot of different Disney dogs. They never come out and say who they are, but they do look like Disney dogs. But she doesn't know how she got there, and she doesn't know where her person is. And she's kind of piecing this story. Like I said, there's only 5 issues, so the story moves really quick. I can't tell you a lot of the story without spoiling a lot of it for you, but it's just a really good. I won't say cute,
Yeah.
but it's an adorable story. Like I said, a little heartbreaking at times, but definitely worth a pick up and read. Yeah. Said 5
And
issues.
cute.
Yep, and cute. Well, this was wrote by the people who do My Little Pony, so, it did have its cute factor in there.
I bet.
But it's definitely one of those that keeps you guessing. You don't know exactly what's going on, but when you think you do know what's going on, they come along and go, psych! You don't! So, definitely pick this one up.
Nice.
Cool.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Okie dokie. So my first pick is from Image Comics, and I'm picking Primordial #1. This just sounds interesting to me, and it's hard not to just read their synopsis because it's very good. But essentially, the story is that in 1959, the United States launched 2 monkeys into space, and they disappeared, except that now they're coming back. So they didn't die in orbit, but they're not necessarily coming back alone. So, yeah.
Revenge of the Monkeys.
Well, perhaps it will be interesting to see what comes with them.
Dun, dun, dun.
And this is a Jeff Lemire book, so who the hell knows at this point what it will be? But it will certainly be interesting, whatever it is.
Yeah. Alien monkeys.
Maybe.
Space monkeys. Yeah.
In space.
Wow. Throwback to last week.
This was last week.
Yeah, that was on my list too. I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I am next, and for my first choice, I'm going with Fantastic Four #35. Obviously, this is from Marvel Comics. This is their 60th anniversary issue, celebrating 60 years.
Yay.
And what better to celebrate than have every member of the Fantastic Four be hunted by every version of Kane that exists. That's what's going to happen.
Sure, why not? That'll be fun.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking Rama Tut. We're talking, obviously, Kang. Doesn't say Immortus, but the Scarlet Centurion and the other versions are going to be are hunting our heroes down. And apparently there's going to be some guest stars. Of course, it's the 60th anniversary. You got to have guest stars.
Sure.
So this looks fun. And John Romita Jr. is back with Marvel, and he's doing the art on this one. Obviously, Dan Slott's still writing the book. So yeah, this could be definitely interesting and timely, no pun intended, since Kang is a little bit more in everybody's view now because of Loki and all that's going on. So I'm sure Kang's going to be featured a lot in Marvel Comics for the next couple of years. So
could be.
Yeah.
And he does have a miniseries going on right now too. So
yes, he does.
So all right.
This one interested me too because it is Kang. To me, Kang is the best villain that Marvel has because he can appear virtually any time and cause havoc. And when he was Rama Tut and of course Doctor Doom, supposed to be a descendant.
Yeah.
So yeah, this should be fun.
Well, I think he got more interest because of the Loki series. But it kind of drove me batty because they never came out and said, this is Kang. They never told you who he was. So if you didn't know, you still don't know who that was. So that was kind of, I don't know why they did that.
Because they want it to be a mystery.
Yeah, but if you want to sell comic books, you at least need to spill the name once. You know?
Did they call him the Child?
No, it was something else, like the man at the end of the line or something weird, but they never said this is Kang. Like I said, people who knew Marvel knew who that was, but if you didn't, that was one part of that series that you wouldn't have known. Nothing. You still wouldn't know anything. But I'm kind of curious to pick that one up because I don't know a lot about him. So,
if you get in there, be sure to get the miniseries too.
Definitely get the miniseries.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's supposed to be dealing with him dealing with the younger version of himself, which it sounds like it's alluding toward the Young Avengers, which I could see them doing that because there's been talk about them doing Young Avengers at some point. I highly recommend picking up that collection of the Young Avengers because the team was literally put together by a younger version of Kang, and that's a spoiler alert. Sorry, but he put it together to defeat Kang.
Huh.
So
I didn't know that either.
It's a really great read. I highly recommend it, and it's kind of timely since we have Hulkling and Wiccan, who have been part of the big Empire event that they just finished up here last few months. They were in the Young Avengers, and Wiccan has a twin brother who's a speedster. So you're talking a witch and a speedster. And they're supposedly the sons of Wanda. So it all comes together.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was reading this when it came out. I was so many years. It's about 10 years ago or something like that. It was a great read. I highly recommend it. All right, Les, you're up.
My first choice comes from Dynamite Entertainment. This is Vampyverse #1, in this series, you are going to have vampirellas throughout time. And the thing about this is they're trying to protect their reality in each case. But someone is killing them and stealing away their life energies, and from that they're growing in power. This one appeals to me just for the mystery part of it.
Yeah.
So I want to try this one out. And they've got multiple covers. I think probably the most appealing is the
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Adam Hughes. Yeah. Sorry about that. Adam Hughes cover.
Ooh, I bet that is nice.
I'm ready for this one.
Nice.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah. All righty. Liz, you're up again.
All right. For my second pick, I had to look this one up because the name sounded really familiar. It's wrote by Adam F. Goldberg. And I'm like, why does that name sound so familiar? And the more I looked into it, it's because he writes my favorite TV show, which is The Goldbergs. I didn't know he was doing comic books. This one is about a house that's possessed. It's called Possessive by Zenoscope. This guy moves in and he's like on the brink of his marriage. His wife is about to leave him. They've got 2 kids. His ideal of fixing the marriage is to buy her this nice house. Well, this nice house is now haunted. So, in the first episode, it kind of clears up the marriage thing, but he meets the lady who is possessing the house, who's not very well at cohabitating with others. But he winds up forming like a relationship with her. And in this second book here, we'll see how that kind of develops and if soon he'll be wishing that he was dead or had an exorcist. So should be a good one. Like I said, I'm really excited. I did not know that he did comic books. I really like the other things that he's applied himself to as far as TV goes. So should be really well written. Previews of the artwork I have seen is just adorable. So bright colors, real clean. So should be a good one.
And cute.
And cute.
Is it cute though? This is Zenoscope we're talking about.
I don't know how cute it would be. Like half her face is gone and, you know. She kind of reminds me of, I can't remember her name. I think it's Emily in The Corpse's Bride. The dead, half dead woman with the wedding dress on. That's kind of what she is.
Hey, it's okay for it to be cute. We are according to Shudder, we are in the 61 days of Halloween now, so.
Oh, yay!
It's all good. Dead can be cute too.
Dead can be cute.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Okie dokie. So my second pick is from 2000 AD, and this is a trade paperback collection of the Stainless Steel Rat. And this is a character who this is a sci-fi thing, and this guy is many things. Some of them are on the up and up, and some of them are not. And he is in these stories he meets a woman who is a lot like him, only probably more dangerous. So it sounds exciting to me. I mean, it's kind of a sci-fi crime thing, so sounds cool to me.
That sounds cool.
Interesting, yeah.
Did for me too, that's for sure. This character reminds me of Retief and the way they handle his stories. So, yeah, I want to see how they pull this off with Escara doing the artwork too.
Mm.
Nice. Alrighty, I'm up next, and for my second choice, it's a new book from Behemoth Comics called Nobody's Child, and this takes place at sometime in the future, where it's found out that a special breed of albino rhinoceros, there's a genetic code that can cure everything, all the diseases and everything. It can cure it. So what happens? Man proceeds to hunt down these rhinoceroses, almost to the point of extinction. And the story is about this one particular rhinoceros who's being protected by a boy named Bakari, who apparently has his own devastation in his life. So I think this is a very interesting story. I think it'd be really cool to read.
Yep. It definitely sounds interesting.
Yeah, this one has the making of a movie or TV series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see this one being optioned.
Yeah.
Oh. Alrighty, Les, you're up.
My second choice, speaking of TV and movie, is Trailer Park Boys Bagged and Boarded from Devil's Due. This one will keep me laughing, I'm sure. In this one, you get to journey back in time when Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles were kids. And then they even have a story where you go further back as cavemen. I want to see this just to see how they handle it, of course. The big kicker is that they steal some garden gnomes, and the Green Bastard makes an appearance. If you're a fan of the series, you'll know who I'm speaking of.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. All right. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Nothing here.
Okay, we'll move on to our regular shout-outs. First off, we want to thank Pop Goes Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be a part of a great group of fellow podcasts. Definitely check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who make up Potter and Family on Twitter, who've been so kind enough to spread the word of the fellowship. Then the way to do that is just do a search, hashtag Potter and Family as one word, and just scroll through, and whatever catches your eye, please download, click on that link, download that episode, and we hope you have a good time listening to them. Thank you guys, as always. Want to thank Maddie the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. In the show notes, we'll have a link to where you can check out their fine music. Thank you guys, as always. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We appreciate your support, and we value your feedback. Any questions, comments, suggestions, observations, what have you, please send them our way. There are several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or go to the website, and on the About Us page, there is a contact form that you can fill out. I already mentioned our Discord. We do have a section specifically for feedback. You can post there if you'd like, or if you just want to send us a message, feel free to do so. On social media, we are on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. Obviously, we're on Twitter, @Fellowship Geeks. Feel free to follow us both places. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found LN_geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I can be found at TomTCGeek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would please be so kind as to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We do appreciate your support as always. Until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,